Salakia. So let's pick back up in the book of Sirach, better known as the book of Ecclesiasticus, the 36th chapter, and let's go from the second verse on. And it reads as such: and send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. And I read the book of Psalms, the 14th chapter, which talks about these nations, none of them doeth good, Let's go to Psalms 14 and 2. Yeah, let's just go to 14 and 1 from the top. The fool has said in his heart, that fool is being Esau, Edom, there is no power, they are corrupt, they have done abominable works. And that fool is referring to the heathen nations, starting with Esau, Edom, at the top of those heathen nations, better yet. The fool has said in his heart, there is no power, they are corrupt, they have done abominable works. Abominable works, like it, there is none that doeth good. The Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, looked down from heaven upon the children of men, being the heathen nations, who Esau, Edom is the head of, to see if there were any that did understand and seek the Most High. And none of them seek Yahweh Bashim Yahshai, because none of them understand. Daniel 12 and 10. Psalms 14 and 3. They are all gone aside. They are all together become filthy. Salakia, once again. They are all gone aside. They are all together become filthy. There is none that doeth good, not one. So not one of these Edomites does good, or these heathen nations does good, man, in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai. Sirach, the 36th chapter. And send thy fear upon all the nations that seek not after thee. All 17 nations, man, including the 2/3, which is another nation, because they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. Let's just get that. Romans 9 and 6. Salakia, Romans 9 and 6, just to back that point up. Oh man, come on. Salakia, it's a little cold out where I'm at, so. Romans 9 and 6. Not as though the word of the Most High had taken none effect. Not as though the word of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua had taken none effect. For they are not all Israel, which are of Israel. So not all Israel is Israel in the eyes of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua. The 2/3 are another nation. They got to be purged out and be brought back through the loins of the elect, through the loins of the remnant. They have to be regenerated in the kingdom. Those Israelites that don't understand the new song in its pureness, that don't believe the report. Sirach 36 and 3. Lift up thy hand against the strange nations and let them see thy power. Those strange nations are the heathen nations, as well as the 2/3, which are another nation, As thou wast sanctified in us before them, be thou magnified among them before us. Salakia. And let them know thee as we have known thee, that there is no power but only thou, O Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And let them know thee as we have known thee. And that's what you're going to realize, you heathen nations, is that there is no power but Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. You're going to know that Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is the one that took down modern day Egypt, Babylon the Great. Exodus 7 and 5 again. And the Egyptians shall know that I am Yahweh Bashim Yahushai when I stretch forth mine hand upon Egypt and bring out the children of Israel from among them. You're going to know who Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is. Let them know thee as we have known thee. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm. Yahweh Shai, thy hand and thy right arm, which a lot of you men who claim you're in the truth aren't glorifying, which is another lesson, but hey, Spirit wants it to come out. Sirach 36 and 6. And Salakia, once again, Sirach 36:6. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works. And Salakia, you got people singing idolatrous songs like Happy Birthday in the background, but hey, it is what it is. Sirach 36:6 again from the top. Show new signs and make other strange wonders. Glorify thy hand and thy right arm, that they may set forth thy wondrous works, which is going to happen. Yahweh Shai cracks the sky. That's going to be a sign of the wonder and wondrous works, and a great deliverance, man, and great destruction of Babylon the Great. Raise up indignation and pour out wrath. Take away the adversary and destroy the enemy, which we're praying to Yahweh Bashim Yashai for him to do every day. Make the time short. Sake the time short. The next precept goes into that. Sake the time short. Remember the covenant and let them declare thy wonderful works. Let them declare thy wonderful works. Who? The prophets. Before they happen. Let's just get the classic since we're bringing it up. Jeremiah 28:8. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. The prophets prophesied against those countries, man, of war and of evil and of pestilence. They weren't with, Babylon, ancient Babylon. They weren't down with the Assyrians. Jeremiah was prophesying against the Babylonians, man. The apostles were prophesying against the Roman kingdom, man. The prophets that were living in the Greek captivity prophesied against it. The prophets that lived in the time, of the Egyptians prophesied against that kingdom. Moses and Aaron. Jeremiah 28:8 again from the top. The prophets that have been before me and before thee of old prophesied both against many countries and against great kingdoms. Isn't America a great kingdom? Of war. Well, America is the biggest warmonger, on the earth right now. Embassies set up in all countries, military bases set up in all countries. And against great kingdoms of war and of evil and of pestilence. The most evil kingdom ever erected, Babylon the Great, the mother of abominations, And what do you have in Babylon the Great? A pestilence, Second Ezra 9:1. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently. And who answered? Ezra. Ezra is the Greek way of saying Ezra. Uriel. The angel, Second Ezra 9:1. He answered me, Uriel being one of the 7 holy angels, He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself. And when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, what signs? The prophecies. Also, things like this happening. Blood moons, Nation against nation, kingdom against kingdom. Them setting up and issuing unrighteous decrees. Them looking to push the MOTB. Measure thou the time diligently. Oh, shoot. Salakia. Phone almost fell down. Salakia once again. And how did Yahweh Bashim Yashai speak these things? Through the prophets. Hebrews 1:1. Salakia. Yahweh Bashim Yashai, who at sundry times and in diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets. That's how things were said, by the prophets. 1 Samuel 9 and 9. Let's just get it. 1 Samuel 9 and 9. Before time in Israel, when a man went to inquire of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, thus he spake, come and let us go to the seer. For he that is now called a prophet was before time called a seer. So the prophets were called seers because they were able to see things coming up on the horizon. A prudent man foreseeth the evil and hideth himself. I, wisdom, dwell with prudence and find out knowledge of witty inventions. Luke 1 and 70. Just to back up that point. This should get 68. Yep. Down to 70. Blessed be the Lord, Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, power of Israel. For he hath visited and redeemed his people. That's a possessive statement. It didn't say he's visited and redeemed everybody. He's visited and redeemed his people. Slack it once again. Luke 1 and 68. Blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he hath visited and redeemed his people, and had raised up an horn of salvation. Who's that horn of salvation? Who the world ignorantly calls Jesus, whose name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Shai. That horn of salvation, the Redeemer, the Deliverer, the author and finisher of our faith. Luke 1 and 69, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for the house, and hath raised up an horn of salvation for us. There goes that word us again. Blessed be the Lord, power of Israel, for he had visited and redeemed his people. He had raised up an horn of salvation for us in the house of his servant David. His servant David, Beautiful. As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began. His holy prophets. That's how he speaks, through the mouth of the prophets. Hebrews 1 and 1. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai at sundry times spake by the... Let's just get it. Let's just not quote it. Slack it. Let's not butcher it. Let's just get it. Hebrews 1 and 1 just came out a little while ago. Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, who at sundry times in the diverse manners spake in times past unto the fathers by the prophets. That's how who you call the world, who the world called God speaks, through the mouth of his holy prophets. And what do they speak? The word. The word is Yahweh Shai. The comforter. Comfort one another with these words. 2nd Ezra 9 and 1. He answered me, who? Uriel, one of the 7 holy angels, talking to Ezra. Ezra is the Greek way of saying Ezra. He answered me then and said, measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest part of the signs pass, which I have told thee before, the prophecies. Slack it once again. Second Ezra 9 and 2. Then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. And Yahweh Bashim Yahushai is visiting this world. The angels, the prophecies, the prophets. 2nd Ezra 9 and 3. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people in the world, which you have happening right now, earthquakes at an all-time high. You have uproars of the people happening right now as you listen to this lesson. Somebody's out there tearing up a city because of this verdict, man. All signs that we're in the end times, as well as the other signs, blood moons. Them looking to introduce the charagma. The MOTB. And a plethora of other signs. 2nd Ezra 9 and 4. Then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things from the days that were before thee. How did he speak of those things? The prophets. Even from the beginning. For as like as all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end. And the end, the end has come. The end, it watches for thee. Let's just get it. Let's not butcher it. Ezekiel the 7th chapter. Oh, it's Exodus, Slakia. Ezekiel 7 and 5. Thus said Adonai Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai power, and evil, and only evil, behold, is come, an end is come, the end is come, it watcheth for thee, behold, it is come. The end is come, it is nigh. 2nd Ezra 9 and 5. For like is all that is made in the world had a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. The end is here. It's right in the horizon, man. You can see it by the signs happening, the prophecies. Even so the times also of the highest had plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Show new signs, you know? What Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai is doing. Slakia once again. 2nd Ezra 9 and 6 again from the top. Even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Plain endings, you know. Let's read it again. It's beautiful. Even so the times also of the highest, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai, had plain beginnings in wonder and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. Plagues, you know, prophecies coming to pass. Let's go to Jeremiah, the 30th chapter and the 14th verse. All thy lovers have forgotten thee, and they seek thee not, for I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy. And that's how we were wounded, with the wound of an enemy. Esau, Edom. You know, taking us into captivity after captivity after captivity. You know, the Greeks, the Romans, and then Rome 2.0, the Greco-Roman Empire, the revitalized, you know, Roman Empire, the beast, which we're living in the belly of, you know, Babylon the Great. Jeremiah 30 and 14, all thy lovers have forgotten thee, they seek thee not. I have wounded thee with the wound of an enemy, with the chastisement of a cruel one, for the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased. We went off. We broke the covenant. You know? We went against the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai, so we had to be punished for it. You know? We broke the contract. We transgressed. Jeremiah 30 and 14, Jeremiah 30 and 15. And you can read about the punishment for breaking the contract in Deuteronomy the 28th chapter. You know, 15 through 68. Jeremiah 30 and 15, why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitude of thine iniquity, because thy sins were increased, I have done these things unto thee. What? Discontinue those from my heritage temporarily? Jeremiah 17 and 5 for 350 years. Captivity after captivity after captivity. Chattel slavery. You know, being called bywords and proverbs, being in the bottom of society, but all that's set to come to an end. The end has come, and part of the end coming is rulership, which these heathen nations don't want us to have, but it's coming, whether they were here or forbear. You know, they're going to know that a prophet had been among them, because we're proclaiming this before it happens. You know, the saints shall take the kingdom. Jeremiah 30 and 15, why criest thou for thine affliction? Thy sorrow is incurable, for the multitude of thy iniquity, because thy sins were increased. I have done these things unto thee. Therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. All you heathens are going to catch it, man. You know, you're going to be the brunt of the joke. You know, when Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshai lets Yahweh Shai crack the clouds, man. You know, all those that devour thee, you're going to be devoured, man. Jeremiah 30 and 16, therefore all they that devour thee shall be devoured. And all thine adversaries, who's the adversaries of Israel? Read Psalms the 83rd chapter, you know. All 17 nations outside of Israel are the adversaries of Israel. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them shall go into captivity. That's what the scriptures say, man. You know? That's what the scriptures say. That's what the text says. So, hey, it is what it is, you know? And rightfully so. Therefore, all thy that devour thee shall be devoured, all thy adversaries, every one of them. Esau, Edom, so-called white men, you know? Moab, so-called Chinese. Ishmael, so-called Arabs. You know? The descendants of Ham. You doo-doo stinking ass Africans, man. You know? All thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. Tyre, Zidon, you know? All of y'all, man. Japhet, you know? Us, big Us in them. The so-called Samoans, Polynesians, Pacific Islanders, all of y'all are going into captivity, man. Every one of them, let me start from the top. Therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity. That's your future. That's your fortune cookie right there. And all thy adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. And spoils, that's what you get, you know, when you conquer somebody, man. Spoils of war, you know? You're going to be a spoil. What's it say in the book of Thessalonians? 2 Thessalonians. I think I'll wrap up. Final precepts coming out. 2 Thessalonians 1:6. Seeing it is a good thing with Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shai, to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. It's a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation, you know, to them that trouble you. And didn't these nations trouble us? You know? Didn't they laugh at our calamity? You know? Walking by, you know, they laugh at you at camp, laugh because you're the first hired, you're the last hired, first fired, you know. They make these these GoFundMe's whenever a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American gets gunned down by one of their police. Well, you're gonna be the brunt of the joke, man. You're gonna be the bottom, you know. You're gonna drink the dregs of the cup of slavery, man. Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon distress. Slacky, I'm gonna start from the top. I got a little excited. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations with perplexity, and the sea and the waves roaring. And don't we see signs in the sun and in the moon? You know, blood moon last night. That's a sign right there. These drastic measures that they're looking to push. You know, silencing people who have an adverse opinion about the Yo Jabba Jabba Juice Kool-Aid. You know, saying that you're a domestic terrorist if you're a concerned parent. You know, you don't want your children getting the dragon Kool-Aid. You know, well, those are signs as well. You know, Esau Edom so diabolical. This nigga, he's coming after his own people, man. He's gonna kill a lot of his own people. You know. That's end time prophecy as well, you know. Revelation 12:12. Let's just get it. Revelation 12:12. Yep. That's 13. Slakia. It's a little cold out here, so these buttons ain't working like they normally work. Revelation 12:12. Therefore, rejoice ye heavens. Now, who's the heavens? The elect. For the kingdom of heaven is within you. You know? the spiritual temple of believers, which isn't a physical temple, because if it was a physical temple, Esau, Edom, would try to sack it like he did the first two temples. The first temple he sacked with the Babylonians, and the second temple he sacked in 70 AD. And then we were chased out of Jerusalem into West Africa, into North Africa, and we fled into West Africa, where we settled. And then he rounded us up again in the early 1500s, late 1500s. Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens. And the only ones rejoicing at the destruction of this wicked queendom is the elect, man. We can't wait till the famine hits. These people, ribs are touching, man. See these people eating their kids and shit, man. That's going to happen, just like it happened before. Revelation 12:12, therefore rejoice ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea. Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea being the people. And woe to the inhabitants of the earth, all you heathen nations, outside the elect, woe unto you. Woe means destruction. Why? Woe to the inhabitants of the earth and the sea, for the devil. That devil is talking about a nation of people. Esau, Edom, Shaitan, the adversary, the deceiver, and Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is destroying the covering cast of, let's just get it as well, Isaiah 25:7, because a part of the truth, a part of the end time prophecies is Yahweh Bashim Yahshai destroying the covering cast of the nations of people. Through the prophets, you're learning who the nations of people are. Esau, Edom, Ham, Moab, Ammon. Those are the biblical nationalities of people. Those biblical nationalities didn't go away. The 195 nations that the UN recognizes are all bullshit nations in the form of bullshit nationalities. Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain, in this government, the face of the covering cast over all people. The face of the covering cast over all peoples, all these nationalities that people identify themselves as. My father's from Ireland, so on and so forth. You're Edomite. You're from the nation of Edom, Now you're going to have Israelites spread amongst all these heathen nations who look like them. But if you're from Europe and your people descend from Europe, well, you go back to the Caucasus Mountains, man. And that's where Esau, Edom fled, during the 1,000 years that he was bound. It talks about that in the book of Revelation, the 20th chapter. And Satan was bound, the adversary, Shaitan, the devil. Isaiah 25:7, and he will destroy in this mountain the face of the covering cast over all people, and the veil that is spread over all nations. That veil is that nationality that they tell you are. Who tells you are? Esau, Edom. Slacky. Last few precepts. I think I'm gonna wrap on up. Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth distress of nations, which you have right now. You have the 1948ers, the tribe of Amalek, who's occupying the Holy Land, calling themselves us, but they don't know who the other 11 tribes are. Well, that's not biblical, my man. It talks about who you are and how you got that land in the book of Joel, the 3rd chapter, and Ezekiel, the 36th chapter. Luke 21:25, and there shall be signs in the sun and in the moon and in the stars and upon the earth distress of nations. You got Amalek, bombing the towelheads over there. You got those towelheads mad, man. And it's only a matter of time before they bomb back. And when they bomb back, America, Babylon the Great, is going to get dragged into that war. And then Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is going to cause all those nations to go to the valley of Yahweh Shaphat, the valley of Jehoshaphat, which these, these people who are non-scholars call it, which is actually it's called the valley of Yahweh Shaphat. Yahweh being the Heavenly Father's true name in the Paleo-Hebrew, and Shaphat meaning judgment. Or he's going to judge those nations and those armies, burn them up. Luke 21 and 25, and there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth's distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring. Men's heart failing them for fear. For fear of what? The sword, famine, death, destruction, which is coming to Babylon the Great and the whole world. Men's heart failing them for fear, for looking after those things which are coming on the earth. The sword, famine, death, destruction. And you're going to have a lot of people's hearts failing because they took that juice. They took that dragon Kool-Aid, And there's a lot of people who are taking that shit, who are dropping, man. Never trust thine enemy. Who will pity a charmer that is bit by a serpent? Not one member of the house of David. Not one tear will be shed. We're gonna laugh at those stupid dummies for taking that, man. Luke 21 and 26, because it goes against the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Shem Yahshai. You're not supposed to make any cuttings in your flesh. The book of Leviticus talks about that. And you're not supposed to trust your enemy, nor you're not supposed to consult with magi or sorcerers, which these physicians on no value are, in lab coats, Luke 21 and 26, men's heart failing them for fear and for looking after those things which are coming on the earth, for the powers of heaven shall be shaken. How? When the ICBM missiles hit Babylon the Great, America, the earth's going to reel to and fro like a drunkard, like it talks about in Isaiah, I want to say it's the 14th chapter. Let's just get it. It might be the 24th chapter. Let me see if I can find it. Isaiah might be 24. I want to say it's the 14th chapter. Yeah. Actually, yeah, it's 24. Salaki. Isaiah 24 and 20. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like the cottage, and the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and shall not fall and not rise again. Esau, Edom, you're through. You're done. You're out of here. The earth's going to reel to and fro like a drunkard when the ICBMs hit this place, man. For the powers of heaven shall be shaken. Earth's going to reel to and fro like a drunkard. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming with a cloud. Slaki. And then shall they see the Son of Man coming in a cloud. That's how the Heavenly Father's Son's going to come, in a cloud, which clouds are the chariots, Let's just prove that real quick. Psalms 104 and 3. Let's get right to the point. I'll get the whole thing. Psalms 104 and 1. Blessed be the Lord Yahweh Shem Yahshai, O my soul. O Yahweh Shem Yahshai, my power, thou art very great. Thou art clothed with honor and majesty, who covers thyself with light as with a garment, who stretcheth out the heavens like a curtain, who layeth up the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot. And the chariots, those are the chariots of salvation, the vehicles of salvation for the nation of Israel. And the chariots are what the world ignorantly calls UFOs, through their ignorance and through the deceit of the devil, Esau, Edom, Shaitan, lying, That's why he has Space Force, because he actually plans on fighting the Lord when he returns. He's going to lose terribly, It's going to be a flawless victory. That right hand is going to KO Esau, Edom. Can't wait to see it. Call out Yahweh Shem Yahshai. Adon Ratazai, Yahweh Ratazai, I get to see it. Sirach 25 and 7. There be 9 things, which I have judged in my heart, and the 10th I will utter with my teeth. He that had joy of his children, and he that liveth to see the fall of his enemy. Psalms 104 and 3. Who layeth the beams of his chambers in the waters, who maketh the clouds his chariot, who walketh upon the wings of the wind. So the clouds are the chariots, Luke 21 and 27. And they shall see the Son of Man coming in a cloud, in a chariot, with power and great glory. Who is it that cometh from Edom, with dyed garments from Basra, glorious in his apparel? Yahushua HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ. Dyed garments from Basra, parabolically talking about all the death that's going to happen when the Lord returns. Woe unto you that desire the day of the Lord. Amos 5:18. For the day of Yahweh Bashim Yahshai is darkness and not light. And he's gonna who is it that coming from Edom? Who is it that coming from Edom? He's gonna visit Edom, man. And rightfully so. Luke 21:28. And when these things begin to come to pass, what? The prophecy, signs, wonders. Then look up and lift up your head, for your redemption draweth nigh, and our redemption draws nigh. So with that, I'd like to close on out. And in closing, I'd like to give all praise, honor, and infinite glory unto Yahweh Bahashim, Yahweh Shai Bahashim, Rachak Wadash. Double honors to the head apostles of Great Millstone, who do rule well and teach well with sound doctrine. Shalom to the elders and the elder bishops of Great Millstone as well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to all the sincere Akim and Akwath who do subscribe to this truth. The hearty shalom to the men out there on the highways and byways, highways and hedges, preaching and teaching in truth and sincerity, risking their lives and risking their freedom, now more so than ever, especially in these times, making their bodies a living sacrifice, out there on the highways and byways, highways and hedges, in the chief place of concourse, with the testimony of our Lord Yahweh Shai HaMashiach, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, which is the spirit of prophecy, which allows those men to go into the scriptures and bring out understanding on a high level and edification on a high level. And last but not least, a hearty shalom to the men of Valley Camp, New Jersey, NYC, South Carolina, Las Vegas, San Antonio, the DTA camp as well, Philly, Baltimore, Jersey, NYC, Atlanta, the first camps I ever heard the truth from. Isaiah 62 verses 6 through 7. Ye that make mention of the Lord Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, keep not silence, and give him no rest, day or night, till Jerusalem is a praise in the earth. So Adon Rathazah, Yahweh Rathazah, that means Lord's will. This lesson was edifying. That's what it's all about. Let all things be done unto edifying and to edification. And until next time, Lord's will tomorrow, the Spirit allows. Shalom. DTA, Ababa Ball. Soon. Shalom.